And so, Reincarnated as a Slime pretty much just came to an end. I know we have an extra episode coming out next week, apparently, that's going to be diving into Veldera's diaries, but this episode pretty much marks the conclusion for Season 1. Now, the question I know many are going to be asking, are we going to get a Season 2? Now, personally, I don't know what's going to happen. I have not read ahead. I don't know. I know there's light novel content that goes beyond what we just witnessed. So there is a lot of potential for a Season 2. But overall, this is pretty much the conclusion for the time being. Now, will it get a Season 2? I think so. And the reason why I think so is because of a lot of reasons, actually. Like I said last week, this series is selling like hotcakes. It's very popular right now in the States and in Japan. It is selling figures, it's advertising a lot, it's, constantly, when you look at Crunchyroll, it's constantly near the top and all that all the time. The discussions on this series is quite large, so I mean, it's definitely gained quite a popular fan base. Like, its community's big, it's popular, it's gained a fan base, so I think it has a lot of potential in its future. And it's not just that either. With this final episode, for at least the story for the time being, it does set up for the next arc. Like, we have a new character that's kind of, like, introduced that apparently Rimuru had something to do with, like, Summon or whatever. It wasn't really clarified, but we get this character that's introduced towards the end of the episode. We have another little, like, drop, like, information drop on Chloe and how the spirit that went inside of her is actually, like, from the future. It's a spiritual body. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that was kind of mentioned in this episode that really sets up for a Season 2 or another arc. And, like I said, next episode apparently is like an extra side story episode, just kind of, Veldera's diaries, and then the episode after that, I forget what it's going to be about, but it's not necessarily going to be anything that's going to carry the plot forward. So, I'm going to assume that we're going to get a Season 2. It's just like, there's no way they would go out of their way and do all this information and setup if they were not going to do a Season 2. Now, I do know that a lot of anime typically do like to be advertisements for the light novel / manga, but I really don't think that is the case with this episode, or this series. I just don't. I really don't get that same feeling that I got from series from, all these years of me watching anime. But let's get right into the main part that I think many want me to talk about, and that is, with this conclusion, how do I feel about the second half? Because there's been a lot of debating for Reincarnated as a Slime since the second half of the show started. When you look at the first half, it was solid. It was really great world building, great characters, great voice acting. The Orc Disaster / Orc Lord was amazing. There was just a lot of good stuff in the first 9 to 12 episodes of the story, and many fell in love with it, myself included. I mean, I bought the first 3 light novel volumes because of how good this series was, and I even read some of the manga because of just how good Reincarnated as a Slime was, how I was getting into it. And then the second half happened, and this is when the show started to kind of go up and down in terms of quality. There were some scenes that were obviously amazing in terms of just art style and animation, voice acting, and then there was a lot of scenes that just did not hold as much emotional weight as the first half of the story. And mainly from what I saw from a lot of the community when it came to the second half of Reincarnated as a Slime, was that it seemed like they were really just trying to rush the story to the point to end it off where the children, actually get their spirits and it's a good conclusion. And, conclude what Shizu set up at the beginning of the story. So I can understand why they want that as a conclusion. When I think about all the content that happened throughout the second half, nothing was really a good conclusion for the story. And so seeing the children section get concluded, it's kind of like a bow on top. I'm wrapping up one of the main objectives of the story that was set up around episode 5 or 6, so I can respect that. But because of that, a lot of content was cut, / skipped. I even went out of my way to check on it myself just to see, and yes, there is a lot of content that is skipped. Do I think that it completely, ruins this series? No, I do not. I do think that they can easily fix it by adding in one episode to kind of clarify things. But I do think that overall, the second half wasn't as good as the first half of the story. But by no means did I dislike this story or the second half or whatever, I still love Reincarnated as a Slime. It's a hell of a good series, honestly, and seeing the montage that happened within this episode gave me a lot of emotions, because see, me as an individual watching anime week after week, and I think many of you agree with me, when you're watching anime week after week, you typically forget how much time really passes. I mean, this is the 23rd episode of Reincarnated as a Slime. That's not counting, like, winter break and all of that. So, it's been about 24 to 25 weeks since this series came out. And to put that in perspective, it's been months. It's been months, like 4 or 5 months, maybe 6 months since the series began. It's been a long time, and it's just crazy to think that it's been that long, and seeing that montage pop up and seeing all the characters and the progression to the world building and all that, it gave me the feels, because I was like, man, time flies, it really does, and it doesn't really feel that long, but it really has. It's been 23, 24 weeks since the story began, and we all were introduced to this amazing isekai series, so kind of sad to see it really go. I really am. I'm pretty sad to finally find out that it will be concluding very soon. And let's just hope it gets a season 2. But let's talk about the final content within this episode. So, Chloe. She's a big piece that I think many can agree with me on that's going to be very important if there ever is a season 2. Because there's quite a few unexplained things. Number one, the whole future, like the spirit body from the future. That was a really weird segment. It was not clarified at all. All we know is that that spirit was from the future, and it went inside of Chloe to kind of reincarnate itself, or slash start its rebirth. And so it's kind of like saying that spirit is beginning a cycle. It's beginning a cycle of rebirth, to where it goes to the future, and then it travels back in time to where Chloe is, and then starting it all over again. So basically, it's just a time loop. The spirit is locked in a time loop until, I'm assuming, Chloe dies, which is pretty freaking ominous to think about. That it basically is saying that Chloe is going to die sometime in the future, and then this spirit is going to time loop back into the past and then start the entire cycle once again, which has me kind of confused about certain things, because when the spirit popped up, it gave Rimuru a kiss, which is very significant, because when you think about what Chloe was talking about with Rimuru, she was basically confessing her love, her feelings towards Rimuru. And then the spirit pops up, and I'm like, I wonder if this spirit is Chloe. That's the theory I have right now, and I think I'm not probably the first person to really mention this, but the reason why I think that is because it makes sense. I mean, the spirit does, oddly enough, look a lot like Chloe. I mean, when you look at it, it just looks like an adult version that's just, grown up. It looks like Chloe as an adult. And it doesn't just stop there. I mean, with the spirit kissing Rimuru, it's like, why would the spirit do that? Unless the spirit knows Rimuru, which either means two things. Because of whatever happens in the future with Chloe, the spirit sees that and just grows bonded with Rimuru, or Chloe is the spirit and just kissed Rimuru because she loves him so dearly, and then it starts the cycle once again. Something like that I think is going on, but it doesn't just stop there. We also have the stuff with Veldora. Veldora is completely unexplained. Like, every time Chloe was doing something like for magic abilities, or when, Rimuru set his eyes on Chloe for the first time and the name was mentioned or whatever, Veldora had like this heart, throb. Like, you just saw how Veldora was disturbed or something happened, which basically emphasizes that Veldora has connection with this character. And the only thing I could assume is that this character is related to the hero that sealed Veldora. That's the only thing I can get from this that would make sense from everything that has been established since the very beginning of the story. And since we are getting into something when it comes to time looping, for all we know, maybe Chloe is the hero. Who really freaking knows? But I mean, things can get really weird when time travel and stuff starts getting mixed into the story, so who really knows, honestly, besides the light novel readers / web novel readers. Anything else really to get into? I guess, let's talk about the final segment that gave us a status update. Basically, what happened to all the characters and getting to see where they're progressing. Basically, Rimuru civilization he created is prosperous. It's making a lot of headways in terms of being a really great country for all of the world. And just seeing all the characters that has, established themselves and, joined Rimuru's group, it's pretty impressive how large this cast is and how you pretty much know what all these characters are for or how important they really are. I gotta give credit where credit is due. Reincarnated as a Slime is definitely a different type of Isekai series I did not expect to be this good, and I want more of it. Hopefully this isn't the end. Hopefully we will eventually get a season 2. And so I think I'm going to end it there. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. This isn't technically the end of the reviews because, there will be another episode apparently next week, but it's not going to be the story continuation. But this is effectively the end of my series reviews because it's the conclusion of the story for the time being. But I love you guys. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. And with that, Chibi out.